everybody. Thank you so much for attending today. We're so excited about this event. Bevan and I have really been really excited to announce all of this to you guys. And really, it's all a big thank you to you, our clients. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do. And if you've ever talked with us before, you know that at Abenity, our big slogan is perks with purpose, or perks about people, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about what we can do and how we can spread good deeds and good things across different nations where people don't have the opportunity to be able to do that on their own, right? So just setting them up for success. One of the biggest things that here at Abenity that I really wanted to share with you guys is the reason why a lot of us came here. Bevan can attest to this as well. As Abenity, actually, if you talk about who Abenity is, if you were to ask any one of us, we're going to start with our social mission, right? We kind of forget about the things that we do, and we kind of jump right into the work that we do through World Vision and Strong Women, Strong World, because that's really the heart of who we are. It's our why, right? It's why we show up. And one of the biggest things that I think that is so cool about Abenity and makes us stand out is that right from the very beginning, before we had clients, our founders, Mark and Brian Rowland, made a standard of, no matter what it is, every account that we bring on, we are going to sponsor a child in a impoverished region. And they have not failed that one time. These children stay with us until they age out of the system. And today we are so proud to say that we have 247 kids in our sponsorship. You guys all know that my goal is 300. So, if you have any friends that want discount programs, let me know, because I'll surely help them out. But if we could switch to the next slide, I just want to kind of show you guys a little bit. We always say people over profits, right? People come first, and I'll share this with you too. One of the cool things at Abenity is just out of the spur of the moment, we may receive a Slack message, right? Because we're all remote, we're all over the place. And it's like, hey guys, we're cash positive today. Answer this random question. And whoever answers it right, you get to choose out of a catalog of one way to help through World Vision. It's things like that really it feels like the glue that holds our team together. It's a common thing that we are all working toward. So even on days, and as a salesperson, if you've ever worked in sales, you know that there are dry periods, right? There's periods where you just don't have a lot going on, or sales aren't as heavy, and it can be very weighty, and can bog a team down. And all I have to do is look behind me or look at my desk and look at those letters these kids have sent me. All of us on this team write to these kids. We don't just sponsor them and throw them up on a website. They actually get assigned to an Abenity team member to write to them, and those kids write back. And that is the most meaningful thing. We love to share that. Bevan does an amazing job of really educating us on the areas these kids are in, encouraging us to write to them and the things that are going on. They're the right things to say to them, right? And it means a lot to them. I can't tell you the number of letters that I've got back where they just thank me so much just for a letter, right? Or if I send a picture of one of our puppies or something like that, it's just so exciting to them. And that, I want everybody on this call to know that just from doing business with Abenity, you really are touching lives across the globe and really helping an initiative that may seem really big to an individual, right? But when we all band together and we all work toward a common goal, we're able to make big things happen, big moves. And I'm so excited for Patricia Heaton. Thank you so much for being here. Margo Day is here. They're going to tell you guys some amazing things that will literally really touch your heart. And we really hope you're as moved as we are today. You see those little faces on the screen there? Those faces mean everything to me. Really excited to have so many of them, and, really excited to get everything going. I think we have one more slide we're going to switch to just really quick there. And this is just if you want to know a little bit more. So I get it. I understand that a lot of folks are, I have a lot of people that ask me, how have you guys got there, right? Like you mentioned that you were there and there was only a couple people, right? When you first started, how did you guys get from there to where you are now? It's just starting. It's just making a conscious decision to go, this is what we're going to do. This is a company policy that we are going to commit to. I mean, even every interview I've ever sat on in the last 10 years, it's one of the first things we talk about, right? Is like, hey, do you think you can get behind this, right? Because this is who we are. This is what we work for every day. And if you just want to know how we started right from the very beginning to where we are, we do have an impact report. This is being recorded, so you can get that impact report from that recording, or you can feel free to email or contact one of us and we could get it to you. Kind of walks you through kind of everything that we've done historically since the beginning. So I'm going to leave it at that. One little housekeeping note. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, we will have a discussion period at the end. It's going to be right at about 4 p.m. Central Time. It is optional. You are more than welcome to stay, but we'll address questions at that time so we can make sure we get to all the content because it is going to be amazing. So thank you all so much, and I'm going to let the beautiful Bevan take over.
Hey everyone, thanks so much, Missy. Yeah, that was really inspiring. And I just want to point out, if you didn't see on that last slide, Abenity just crossed the $1 million mark in giving to World Vision. And we're so excited and particularly so grateful for all of our clients and partners who join us in this effort in making a difference. So anyways, right now, what I'm going to do is kind of just clue you in to who Strong Women, Strong World is and how exactly they make an impact. So Strong Women, Strong World is a World Vision initiative to lift up women living in the developing world by addressing the root causes of poverty. So you might ask, why women? Well, research shows that when girls and women gain access to opportunity, they improve not only their futures, but those of their families and communities. So simply put, if your goal is to eradicate poverty, helping women is just a good investment. To understand Strong Women, Strong World strategy, we first need to understand the obstacles facing the women they serve. So let's dive in. This graph represents the life of a woman in poverty. You can see the obstacles outlined here by age, and we're just going to go through them one by one. The hurdles begin right away with high infant and mother mortality rates due to a lack of health education and medical facilities. Next, since women are traditionally tasked with getting water for their families, if water isn't close by, a girl may be unable to attend school because of the time required to retrieve water that's miles away. As the girl gets older, the obstacles unfortunately increase. Many families can't afford school fees, and girls are often the first to drop out if finances are concerned. If a girl is lucky enough to attend school, many schools don't have sanitary supplies or restrooms, which forces girls to stay home for a week each month during menstruation. Then, physical danger strikes when girls are subjected to FGM, which is female genital mutilation. It's a traditional practice with very complicated roots, but unfortunately it can cause lifelong physical repercussions. In some regions, forced early marriage is also still a traditional practice. Simply put, every single time, child marriage strips a girl of her rights and stunts her future. Later on, girls and women face a lack of jobs and financial resources, which leads to economic duress for their families. Without intervention, the path that you see here will turn into a cycle that continues on with each new generation. So how is Strong Women, Strong World helping? How do you fix such massive problems? Let's take a look at some of their strategies. First, World Vision strives to improve mother and child health. One way they do this is by training and supporting local health workers to assist pregnant women with prenatal care and educate them about good nutrition for themselves and their children. Next, access to clean water is crucial. To accomplish this, they've implemented the WASH initiative, which brings clean water to these communities by drilling wells with hand pumps. And it's working because World Vision is now reaching one new person with clean water every 10 seconds. How do you provide girls better access to education? Well, one creative way is by teaching students how to make reusable sanitary pads, so girls never have to fall behind at school. Next, they want to protect girls from harmful traditional practices. To accomplish this, World Vision staff works to educate communities on the dangers of FGM and child marriage, and then focuses on meeting the needs that lead to those practices in the first place. Finally, Economic opportunity for women has to improve. To do this, they utilize two existing World Vision programs, Thrive and Vision Fund, to help women gain access to loans, savings groups, and financial education. Poverty sounds like an insurmountable problem, but Strong Women, Strong World has a proven strategy that works and actively helps women in developing countries every single day. At Abenity, it's our goal to help World Vision end extreme poverty for good. And because you're a partner of Abenity, you are a crucial part of achieving that goal. So to give you a visual representation of what I just talked about, I want to show you a quick video. So guys, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and cue that up. Thank you.
At World Vision, we believe it's possible to end extreme poverty. But it won't happen as long as half the people in the world are held back from reaching their full potential. The evidence is indisputable. When girls and women get equal access and opportunity, progress is accelerated. Children are better cared for. Families are stronger. And communities are more prosperous.
That's why World Vision has been deeply engaged in gender equality work for decades. It's integrated into everything we do, at every stage of a woman's life. She can be born healthy when her mother has access to critical information and basic health care. She can grow stronger when her parents learn how to use ingredients that are readily available to supplement her diet. When there is clean water right in her village, she can go to school instead of spending those hours collecting dirty water that could make her sick. And she can stay in class and increase her literacy, even when she has her period because of new private sanitary rooms built at her school. When she learns about her value and her rights, she can stand up for herself. And when her community begins to turn away from harmful traditional practices like child marriage, she can marry when and who she chooses. She can become financially literate, start a business, increase her farm's output, and improve her family's income when she has access to financial services, vocational training, and better farming methods. When given the chance, she can achieve. And when she does, she will share that success with her family, become a leader in her community, and use her voice, her strength, and her determination to make a difference.
In everything World Vision does, we seek to build people up. All people. Join us in our commitment to gender equality, because when girls and women are empowered, everyone wins.
And when her potential is unleashed, extreme poverty doesn't stand a chance.
Hey guys, welcome back. Super excited to introduce Patricia Heaton. As you may know, she's an Emmy-winning actress who has played not one, but two beloved TV moms. Heaton recently starred in the highly praised CBS comedy, Carol's Second Act, starring as Carol, a mom who, after raising her two children and retiring from teaching, embarks on a unique second act, pursuing her dream of becoming a doctor. From 2009 to 2018, she starred in ABC's critically acclaimed The Classic series Everybody Loves Raymond. She won 2 Emmy Awards for the role and was nominated 7 times. In addition to her Emmy wins, Heaton is also the recipient of the Best Comedy Actress Award from the Viewers for Quality Television, a SAG Award, and 3 SAG nominations in the Best Actress category for her role on Raymond. In 2001, Heaton co-founded 4 Boys Films, a production company which she runs with her husband, David Hunt. Yeah, there we go. I was waiting for that slide to switch there. Heaton recently authored a best-selling book for Simon and Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Your second act. You guys have to check this book out. It is actually really amazing. Through her own experience, Heaton became curious about other people's stories of second act transitions. So in the book, she shares wisdom from her own personal journey, as well as insight from stories of numerous people across the country that she's run into. Filled with really lighthearted anecdotes, pragmatic steps to help readers discover their own paths. So very great read. Definitely suggest you guys grabbing one of those. When Patricia's children left the nest, she discovered she had time to pursue passions that were previously placed on hold, both personally and professionally. She now finds her greatest fulfillment in using her influence as a celebrity ambassador for World Vision. So we're super excited. Patty, thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait.
Thanks for having me.
Been waiting for this.
Yes. Now, I hear I have 7 minutes to talk about myself. That's not nearly enough time. I'm an actor. That's all we do. No, but just to give you folks out there just a little overview. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Went to Ohio State. Moved to New York City after that to try to pursue being an actress. Was there for about 9 years with almost zero success. I did a couple commercials, which you forgot to mention in my bio. My beer commercial and my aspirin commercial. Which floated me for a long time, which was fabulous. And then I took a last desperate shot and moved to LA and started getting a little bit of work there. And an interesting little story, at that time I had a really formative experience. I went with a tiny group of folks from First Presbyterian Church of Hollywood to an orphanage in Tecate, Mexico. And, at that time, personally, I was not having much career success. And my dad, who we're Catholic, I always saw him writing out checks every month to different missions, right? Boys Town, Maryknoll missions. And that was kind of always a thing in our family. You just have to help someone who is less fortunate than you. So I thought I'll go to this mission trip, right? Because I had nothing else going on. And it was just for a weekend. And we built a lawn, we laid a lawn and we fixed the sewage. We had a little party for the kids. And I came back from that trip and I felt such a peace about being there that I was not finding in pursuing my acting career. That I had sort of like this conversation with God in my head. And I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm starting, this is Catholics, we kind of bargain with God. And here's the deal. I'm getting a few auditions, but I am perfectly happy to go back to Mexico and just do that for the rest of my life because I just had this great sense of peace. So I said, okay, so here's the thing, Lord. If you want me to go to Mexico, shut down the auditions and open a wide door towards this orphanage. Or just keep the auditions coming and I'll just keep doing that. And I just kept getting auditions. And so I continued and I just have been so blessed in my career to have gotten these two really long-running, wonderful shows, Everybody Loves Raymond and The Middle. Really well written, about families, really funny, great values. So I felt really, really, blessed by that. And I got married and had 4 sons, and I got to this point where my sons were a little bit older and were a little more independent, getting into high school, and I wanted to use my platform for an organization. And I think I had been already sponsoring a World Vision child. And I can't remember how I actually found out, but I contacted World Vision and said, you guys, nobody on the middle, nobody on the set of The Middle has ever heard of World Vision, but you are the biggest NGO in the world. So how do they not know about it? And what can I do about that? And so we've kind of forged this celebrity ambassador, group for World Vision. And I've since gone on a number of trips. One of my sons was even able to come with me, which is a great, great experience for him. And we've been able to get the word out in the entertainment industry. And I've been able to go on shows like Entertainment Tonight to talk about the great work that World Vision is doing. Rachel Ray is a massive supporter of the World Vision Christmas catalog, and really she's been amazing. Also, Dr. Oz has been a huge supporter, and it's been wonderful to be able to use my show business career to help, bring awareness to what World Vision is doing and bring more financial support. But what's great about that, like if I go back to the beginning where I was, sort of laying out with how God should handle my life. To me, it was an either or thing. I either go into acting or I go into the mission field. But what was great was it wasn't really an either or choice. It was, I have both now. And, God really was able to use this career, the doors of which he opened for me, to then promote World Vision. And so I just realized that on my last trip with World Vision to Rwanda, I think it's now 2 years ago, that it wasn't one or the other. It was just both in God's timing for me. So I'm very grateful for that. The reason I focused on World Vision is because they have huge transparency of where the money goes. I think it's now 86 cents of every dollar goes to the program. So when you choose to give your hard-earned money to World Vision, you are getting the biggest bang for your buck. And the sustainability of the programs is huge. It's not like they build a well and then 5 years later it's run down. They have the greatest record of their wells working there for a very long time after they're built, for a very long time. The World Vision picks out these areas of development and they stay there for 12 to 15 years until these programs have become sustainable and the community themselves are running the program. World Vision is on the ground in all these places all the time. So when a disaster happens, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, World Vision is right there. They have everything in place and they make things happen along with all the communities that work with World Vision. So I feel that it's really an organization that gets stuff done that makes a long-lasting and meaningful impact in developing worlds in every area, economically, women's health, women's education for all the kids. Clean water is a huge one. So I'm just so thrilled to be able to be a part of World Vision and to talk to everyone here. And thank you for your support. But also now I've talked enough about myself, and let's get to our guest of honor. It's very difficult for me to tear myself away from myself, but you have to meet Margo because I'm going to have to read from this because Margo has accomplished so much. She's retired from the Microsoft Corporation after 17 years in a senior level position, and she put a capstone on this incredible 34-year high-tech career. And the reason she retired is to pursue her dream, like sort of have the same experience that I did of volunteering with World Vision to ultimately, and this is her area of passion, end the retrogressive practices of female genital mutilation and cutting and forced child marriage in many areas of Kenya. So Margo's first visited World Vision's work in Kenya in 2009. It was a group of Pokot girls that were fleeing these practices, and that compelled her to discover how to use her 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And it's changed Margo's life, as she'll tell you. And she's so accomplished. She's a member of the board of advisors for the Global Give Back Circle, currently on the board of directors for 2 artificial intelligence startup companies. She's a past board member of Jobs for America's Graduates, a past World Vision National Leadership Council co-chair for the child protection sector. During her tenure at Microsoft, Margo earned the Microsoft 2006 Most Inspirational Woman Award, earned the 2014 Circle of Excellence Platinum Club Founders Award for her work in education, and along with her whole team, won Microsoft's 2018 Top Industry Award for superior performance. Now, personally, Margot's a huge outdoor lover. One of her very favorite things to do is go on safari, which is a wonderful thing that you can do with World Vision. So just ask her about being 6 feet from a cheetah. I'm sure she has that and many more stories. So Margo, thank you for joining us here today. I'm so glad to see you again. We saw each other a few years ago in New York at Strong Women, Strong World.
Yep, that was great. It's good to see you.
Yes, you too. Hey, how did you go from being a Microsoft exec to leading a philanthropic effort for girls? Well, I said a little bit about it, but give us a little more of that, what was going on with you.
Yeah, and kind of like, what you wrote about is what is my second act, in life. And because I kind of like you, had always been a giver. And I've mentored a lot of people in my life and all that sort of thing. But, there's these times in your life where you just feel this deep stirring in your soul. And I had turned 50, and man, I was just, it was deep, and the stirring was just hard. And so this is and it was interesting because it was in 2009. And if we all remember, that's right at the precipice of the Great Recession.
Yes.
At the same time, but I was feeling like, man, it's really time for me to step out and do far more than I've ever done before. And so I knew of World Vision. And so I thought, I'm going to reach out to those guys. And I'm going to give them 4 days of my vacation time. Let them take me wherever they want to take me in the world. I preferred Africa. And so they picked Kenya. They picked this area 250 miles north of Nairobi in the middle of nowhere, so that they could show me this all the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so, we went up there, and so I saw this clean water project that they were working on. At the time, I saw how they work with people that have HIV and AIDS. I saw how they work with disabled people. But the last day, and so I was like slaughtered after 4 days of being with them, right?
Yeah.
The last day, they said, we're going to take you to a rescue center for girls. And I was like, what are these girls being rescued from? That's when I learned that in the 21st century, female genital mutilation and early forced marriage was still happening. And so get on the ground, and they took me to this rescue center, and I met these 34 girls. They were between the ages of 8 and 15 years old. And there we are, we're just talking, and I'm learning that these kids had run away from home because they didn't want to be married off by the age of 13 to an older man. They didn't want to undergo the cut. What they wanted and what they believed for themselves at that young age was that they could have a better life. And they just were determined. And so, the eyes are the window to the soul, I believe. And so when I looked into their eyes and they're telling me their stories, I see this determination, but I also look at them and I see this just longing to be loved and validated. And right then and there, and right at this moment, my whole world and everything that I believed about, kind of who I was came crumbling down, because I realized right then and there that I had no choice to the family that I was born into. I could have been one of those kids, right? And so fortunately, born to a great family, my parents loved me, they supported my education, but I would have been one of those kids if I had been born in Kenya. And I realized that I did not have, I knew it. At the age of 10, I wouldn't have had the guts, the courage to do what these kids had done. And so you get faced with this choice, and it's like, well, now what are we going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to just go back home after vacation and say, oh, I met these kids, and it's so bad. Let's go have a glass of wine. Right. I mean, no. Like I had to lean in, and I had to do something.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I share a lot of those feelings that you have, when we were in Zambia, we had our World Vision shirts on, and we were at a restaurant, and this beautiful waitress came up to us, and she saw our World Vision shirts, and she said, oh, I'm so happy to see you. You're the reason I've been able to get an education, is because of being sponsored for World Vision. And you realize right then, when you're sponsoring a child, it's not just a little tiny, 2-inch picture. it's a person. That's an actual person who's, living and breathing and working and having a life somewhere, and you are enabling them. And exactly what you said, Margo, about we, by the grace of God, we're born in this country to these families with whatever economic class you were born into. It's way better than what we see when we go to Africa or many other developing countries.
True.
And so we do have an obligation to give back in some way. And I totally understand that drive that you found, and that World Vision. You saw all those programs that they're doing. I saw the same ones: the water, the education, the protecting of girls, the economic clubs where women are starting businesses to support their families. So really, really, really wonderful to hear your experience there. So let's talk about women and girls in poverty. Why is being female in some of these developing countries such a stumbling block for women's development?
Well, Bevan did such a great job of, summarizing everything. And so what I want to do is just kind of bring to life and reinforce what Bevan was talking about before, because I've seen all this stuff firsthand myself. So this is a picture that I took during my first trip. And because I went up to see a water project, and I wanted to see, well, how are people getting water today? So here's this girl. She's probably 11 years old or so. We're in a dry riverbed, and they've dug down, and she's down about 6 feet now. And so the water is just seeping in, and there she is scooping up this water and then putting it in this big old can that weighs about 45 pounds that she's going to have to carry. So the as soon as she takes that water, she's gonna have to dig down further. And I've seen these holes that are, 10, 12, 15 feet deep. So, clean water and the access to clean water is one of those things. It's always women and girls that have to go get the water. Yes. So today, World Vision, through this water project that they brought me to go see, they're bringing clean water to 50,000 people, which is just like unbelievable, right? And then you talk about early marriage, female genital mutilation. Let me show you what that actually really looks like. And so we were driving around into these communities, and we see this kind of old guy and this young gal, and we stopped the trucks and we started to talk with them. And I was thinking, oh, isn't that nice? Here's a grandpa helping his granddaughter move around. And what I learned was she is his fourth wife. Oh. So when we talk about early forced marriage, this girl was no older than probably 13, 14 years old.
Yeah,
right?
You got.
Yep. And because the family, the father of the girl receives a dowry in return, then they marry them off to these older men. And you can see in the background, some of the livestock that this guy has. And so he can afford multiple wives. And so right then and there, her whole life, whatever dreams, whatever she had, is just now it's done. And so early marriage it just snuffs out, like Bevan was saying, it just snuffs everything out. And then when you add FGM on top of it, this prerequisite, cultural prerequisite to marriage, when you just, not to get too graphic, but there's issues during the cutting process where sometimes the cut happens too deep and the girls bleed out and die. Afterwards, when everything heals up, and then when the woman goes to give birth when she's older, just imagine what needs to happen. And I've spoken with midwives in different communities that just say, we're advocating against this because there's just, too much blood. And so, when you look at all of this and you say, well, then what's World Vision doing? I will tell you, Patty, and you've seen it yourself too. What World Vision is doing on the ground there is nothing short of amazing overall. So when I was there on the ground talking to those kids, there were 0 secondary schools for girls anywhere, because why would there be? Every girl was getting cut and married, right? And so the thing that they asked that day was, could you support our future through education? So World Vision came together and they said, look, we can build a school. We need you to fund it. And I was like, okay. And so when you provide, and so this is the school that we built. It's one of three schools that we built. And so they're quality schools. The kids are getting a quality education. Like here, they're showing me this chemistry experiment. I mean, it was really, really cool, and they learn all kinds of stuff. And so when we invest in a girl, then she will change the trajectory for her, community for a long, long time. And so it allows the girl and her family to step out of poverty, right? But because we're talking about a cultural norm in this kind of new way, just building schools, it's not enough. And so then secondly, what World Vision does is they actually work across all these different stakeholders, the chiefs, the elders, the faith leaders, the parents, men and women, boys and girls, to educate on why these practices are so harmful, and to also help people really begin to visualize for themselves the future that they could have that didn't involve the cut. It's profound and it works. So then you say, okay, but wait a second here. The cut is a really important cultural element, right? To move from childhood, girlhood to adulthood. So what do? You work together with the tribe and the tribal elders to create an alternative rite of passage, right? And so that's where these tribes, they have these beautiful aspects of their culture. And so they work with the kids to teach them all of these lovely things about being, part of community and what that really means, and coming together and all kinds of stuff. It's a week-long event, but then they also talk about throwing away the harmful practices. And then at the end of this, then there's this huge march, huge celebration, and the girls and boys participate too, which I think is so brilliant
and important.
Right on. They're forming this future together that's really, really different. They get a certificate of accomplishment. The community recognizes that and says, okay, you are now part of the adult community, which is great. But there's one last thing that needs to be done. Because at the beginning of all of this, if you're a man, if you're a father and you have a girl, the way that you make money, actually, and it's your economic livelihood, is to marry your daughter off in exchange for a dowry. So you have to deal with that as well. And so what World Vision does is works across these families to empower themselves on how they can sustainably lift themselves out of poverty. And if you think about it, all of the men and the women in the community, they've learned from generations past, how to farm, how to raise chickens, how to, pasture their cows. They don't know necessarily the newer or later or better techniques. And so, for example, like chickens, a lot of people have chickens. What I've learned is that if you give a chicken a consistent source of drinking water, that chicken will produce 5 times more eggs than not. Simple solution, but profound effect.
Yes.
Same thing with cattle. If you just let your cattle kind of run around, they burn a bunch of calories and stuff like that. Instead, if you raise maize, corn, and you add a little bit of molasses, the cow that gives a liter of milk now starts creating 10. So then World Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, you've seen this stuff too yourself.
Yeah.
So we're able to really help the adults overall overproduce, if you will. And then World Vision teaches them how to sell and then how to save together. And so now they also then go through and just eliminate this whole, pressure, around the dowry. And so it's this smart, comprehensive approach. And that's what makes World Vision so special.
Yes, I love everything you're saying, because World Vision goes in with the respect for people's culture, and it's not really trying to. It's adjusting the culture to address those issues that the culture is trying to handle, as you said. So that so much of the cutting and of the child marriage is an economic issue as much as a cultural issue. And so with World Vision, and I've also seen this too, when women are educated, they can start businesses and go on to have jobs. And when they do that, they provide for their families. And so, as you said, you've taken away this need to marry your daughter off. Mm-hmm. So I think it's such a deeply respectful way of coming into a community. And as you said, involving everyone. So you're not pitting male against female or Western values against African values. You're just coming together with the best practices that still respect where everyone is coming from. And that's why it's so effective, because everyone feels involved. Mm-hmm. Everyone feels respected. Everyone's dignity is honored. And it makes you just so proud and thrilled to be a part of that, and that World Vision has done these best practices and has evolved their practices over the many years. And that's why we have this wonderful organization that we're so excited to be a part of.
It's so true.
It's great, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It's almost like watching a miracle unfold.
Yes.
And to be kind of just like, you step back and you watch this happen, and you're just like, oh, this is unbelievable. This is exactly right. Yes. This is the way it should be.
And here's the thing. We're living in a time that there's a lot of turmoil, and social media has amplified certain things out of proportion to the way things really are. And you and I have had the benefit of actually going to these places and seeing how much wonderful and positive things are being done in the world. Yeah. And I think we all need to focus more on that, because it's making a huge and lasting difference in the world. And it's very easy to get bogged down in the politics going on here and the sort of tribal animosity happening here. And really, in the larger world, there's opportunity for all of us to reconnect with our shared humanity and understand that we are living in a very prosperous, wealthy nation, and that we can use our gifts, no matter how small, if it's $1 or if you're just volunteering time to raise money for World Vision, that you are making a huge difference, and that many positive things are happening because of World Vision.
Right on.
Yeah.
You said it so well.
So now let's just talk about a little bit, and that's one reason to invest in World Vision, specifically Strong Women, Strong World. What's special about that group, just to kind of take us out?
Yeah. So, and I want to just key off on the thing that you said too, is about hope, right? I mean, when there is hope realized, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And so because you were talking, I was like, I just got to show these like two lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's fine. That just like embody, actually, Patricia, everything that you said, right? And so like, there's this young lady, her name is Lillian. She gives me hope. And I met her at the rescue center in 2009. That's her little picture up in the upper left-hand corner there. Then you see Lillian, if you go kind of left to right, she's graduating college in medical records management. And then because she is this amazing entrepreneur, she actually started up a beauty salon business and employs a couple of people. And then what was so cool was a couple of years ago, she met and married a Pokot man who they love one another. I mean, it's so cool. And now they have Isaac. And so Isaac will never know the realities of being involved in a forced marriage, from a male point of view. He'll never know that. He'll know a very different future, which is so cool, right? And then I just got to touch on Messenia, because there's a whole film that World Vision did about Messenia.
Yes.
And she gives me hope too. So if we could just show her photo here real quick. This woman, she's in her 70s now. And so when she was 13 years old, she was cut, she was married. She didn't have any skills at all. She was in a super abusive marriage. And finally, she was getting beat up all the time. And I think she was wife 3 or 4 or 5, I forget. But she had to leave with her kids, but she didn't have any schooling and no education. but she learned how to help women deliver, and she learned then how to do the cut. And so for decades, that was her job. And she'd get paid $5 a girl, or sometimes she'd get paid in alcohol. And that's what she knew. But 3 years ago in this area, she put down her knife because she saw this change coming. And she wanted to be part of this change. And so this picture that's on the right-hand side, that's Messenia in her full traditional garb. And she's actually talking to girls about not undergoing the cut, staying in school, getting educated. And World Vision actually worked with her farm, so she would know how to farm properly and make money so that she wouldn't have to do the cut, right? So you say, why World Vision and why Strong Women, Strong World? If you've not seen anything over this whole conversation, right. World Vision deliberately focuses on women and girls, right? In every aspect, like of what they do. And you nailed it, Patricia, when you talked about how World Vision comes in, they embed in the community, and that engenders trust. Yeah. Trust is everything when you're trying to accomplish these things. And so that's where you get this sustainability that comes from all of this.
Yeah. And, I think what's a really cool thing about the story you just told, there was no judgment by the folks at World Vision against her having practiced this cutting and child marriage for so long. Yep. There was no judgment. And they were able, and because she had that experience herself and with other girls, she's a more powerful voice when she talks to young women because she's been there and she's done that literally. And, it's such a testimony to World Vision of just coming in a very loving way to communities, not passing judgment and just saying, take a look and see for a better way here, and
yeah. So, I mean, it's just so true. And that's why this African proverb, I heard a long time ago, and it is just so germane, I think, for this whole conversation. And it's, if you want to go far or fast, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And you can see like there's so many dimensions to this. Look at all the work the World Vision does with community. It's not just this person. It's not just that person. It's not just this group. It's not just that group. Let's go far and let's go far together. It's the same thing in the way that World Vision involves us. I mean, I don't know about you, Patricia, but I think I do. And, Missy and Bevan, et cetera. There's a sense of community that when you start really working with World Vision, because we know that when we're all partnering together, we can really do great things, right? And so let's continue to go far together is what I would say. And what I would say is that the investment that people make by giving to World Vision, that investment, they're, super respectful of every dollar. You talked about the amount that goes towards the work. We talked about sustainability, all of that fits.
Absolutely. And I have found in my travels that now when I've been to Zambia and Uganda and Rwanda and Jordan, and I've found that since being in those places, the world has become a smaller place. Now when I open the newspaper and I see something about Uganda, I've been to some of those places. I know people there. It affects me now. Instead of just turning the page because I couldn't locate it on a map, no insult to Ohio State, but now I know not only where those places are, but I know people there and how they're being affected by the news that's happening today. So it is a small world, and we're all connected. And I just want to reiterate what you just said. World Vision is a place to put your finances and your efforts if you really want to make a lasting impact. So thank you so much, Margo, for, first of all, just the work you do and your passion. You're so moving when you speak. And I remember when I first met you a couple of years ago at Strong Women, Strong World, how moved everyone was by you and your energy and your love. It really just, you have an aura about you that's so infectious. So thank you for doing this. And I'm so excited to talk about you. And you, I mean, I'm passionate about World Vision, but you've really kind of stirred it up again. So I'm hoping we're all waiting to be able to get back and travel now that the pandemic is a little bit under control. And I, say to everyone who's watching, get involved. You won't go wrong. Right?
Well, you're so kind, Patty, for saying all of that. And I am inspired by you and Missy and Bevan and all the work that Abenity is doing and the like. And so I guess maybe to bring all this to a close from my perspective, is I wanted to share with the kind of the group just some things that I've learned along the way.
Yes.
In my own path, and I'll just make this kind of short, sweet, and brief.
Yeah.
But kind of like what you said, Patty, if it's $1 or if it's $10,000 or if it's $1 million, nothing. When you've got this desire and your heart is right to want to help somebody else and make a difference, nothing you do is too small or insignificant. And especially when it becomes, combined. If you want to go far, go together. When it's combined, with other. When people come together and collectively want to make a change happens. But the second thing is, and I don't think this is just a woman thing, but it is to some degree a woman thing. Fear will always hold us back. I think it was either Missy, you or Bevan. I think it's you, Missy, just saying, hey, just start. Just start. Fear will always hold you back. And actually, it's the second most powerful emotion that we experience. But what's the most powerful emotion? Love. So just set your mind on love, like on what you want to do and why you want to do it. And just step out and do something. Don't let fear hold you back. And then this last thing, we've been talking about it, involve others. And the thing that I've learned about all of that, and Missy and Abenity, you guys are living this. It's when you involve others, you may be giving them the greatest gift of opening up an opportunity for them to experience what you're already, the joy and the just how much greater your life is. And so if we don't involve others, we're being a little bit selfish, actually, right? We're kind of keeping those things for ourselves. And so if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So Missy, back over to you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I could listen. You could just talk all day and I'll just sit right here. I have chills. I had tears. Yes, I was like, please don't trip. But it's so impacting. And when you talk about doing it together, which leads us into, we're going to be bringing Terry on. I've known Terry, from the very beginning. He's one of the first. I started at Abenity. My founder will love this story that I tell this story. I started at Abenity and he basically said, hey, here's my computer. I'm going on vacation. You can just look us up and see what we do. And I was like, oh, okay. One of the first things I went into was the whole World Vision connection and actually getting to speak with Terry. And it was like, you guys talk about profound moments. That was a profound moment where I was like, I am actually in the seat where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. I am supposed to be reaching out to other people and changing lives. And just really thankful for the work with World Vision, amazing clients who allow me to tell them all about my work.
We're both tearing up here. Like, this happens every time I hear Margo talk.
I know.
It like creeps up on you. I start crying.
It does.
Oh my God.
Especially when you see the women and what they're doing now. And the communities are growing and they're more prosperous. And they'll when she made the statement, I mean, I have chills. The little boy will never know that life is.
Yes.
That's real change.
We're the two worst hosts.
Yes. I said I would do this.
We're just blubbering over here. Okay,
we're going to let Terry take over. Okay. We'll mute.
Missy and Patty, Margo, thank you so much. And Bevan, I get to do this work every day. And I get to spend time with folks who are so passionate about the work and even know the work often better than we do, who are living it day in and day out. So you see that passion. I'm so thankful for that. For our guests today, and I know there's been a boatload of information come at you in this presentation from Margo and Patty and Bevan and Missy, but I hope you understand this. And they've said it just here at the end. I hope you understand that you as an individual, you as an organization, looking for purpose, looking for a reason to do what it is that you do, this is the place for you. And we just want to invite you, whether you're a head of HR, whether you're an individual within a company, whether you're a company owner, and you're looking for a way to bring mission mindedness to your organization, we'd love to talk to you. We have resources available for you at the resource tab. I think we have a slide. Here it is. The old learn more and raise awareness, use your influence and share your resources. So these QR codes on the screen, you can actually take a picture of these QR codes and they will take you to additional information that is available and talk about ways that you can be involved. We have a part of our organization at World Vision, our corporate engagement team, who are all about mission-minded, helping companies who are mission-minded understand what it means to be a cause marketing organization. How can you, much like Abenity's done over these last several years, how can you use your platform as an organization with your client base and with your place in the world? How can you use that to make impactful changes around the globe? We'd love to talk to you about that. So we have those resources. We'd love to continue the conversation that's been started here today. And hopefully you've been moved to the point of action, whether, again, as an individual, we'd love to talk to you. If you're a company owner or someone with decision-making capabilities within that organization, we'd love to talk to you as well. And I know that Missy and Bevan and Brian and Mark and the entire team at Abenity would love to share with you their approach and what it means to be a mission-minded, impactful organization such as Abenity. Again, it's been a pleasure for me to be here today. I thank Patty and Missy and Bevan and Margo so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate it. I'm still like,
I know, me too.
I'm like
trying to pull it together.
Yes. I'd like to really thank Lisa from Purchasing Power. I'm going to tell you guys, I've worked with a lot of sponsors, or a lot of partners over the years, I should say. I've been in corporate business for 25 plus years, and I've never spoken to somebody and said, hey, this is an idea that we're having. Would you like to be a part of this? Could you help us out in any way? Lisa, it was a 1 second. It wasn't even like I have to go talk to somebody about it. You get the whole, I got to talk to somebody about it kind of thing. It was like, yes, we're on board. What can we do? Like, she was all about it. And then she shared with us stories where she's been impacted. And wow. So I'm going to let Lisa talk a little bit about what she does. Purchasing Power is an awesome company, and Lisa's the very best rep there. So go ahead, Lisa.
Missy, thank you very much. And you're bringing tears to my eyes as well as after all of that. I appreciate it. So Missy and everybody out there watching, we're very excited to partner with Abenity. What an incredible event to be part of. We're excited about the partnership, and we look forward to being able to participate in future events such as this. Our company philosophies between Abenity and Purchasing Power are so well aligned that when we first started talking, Missy and I we connected, we understood each other, we have the same similar stories and the same mission. So it just seems like a real natural partnership. So I'll just give you just a little bit about Purchasing Power. 2021 marks our 20th year anniversary. We really are a voluntary benefit. We fall under the financial wellness category. And for those of you that may or may not be aware, 78% of the U.S. worker reports that they are living paycheck to paycheck. So you can imagine the kind of financial stress that is impacting the workforce right now, especially given everything with the past, 12 months in the pandemic. So we always like to think of financial stress as it's a silent epidemic because employees have it, but they're not talking to you about it because they don't want to be looked at as being financially irresponsible. It's kind of a taboo subject. They're more than happy to share with you all of their health conditions and their health concerns and their husband's gout and all of that. But when it comes to their finances, they're really, really tight-lipped about that. So what we do is we give employees a pathway to attain and regain the financial dignity. And we do that through our platform, which allows them to go on and purchase goods and services that they need and pay for that over the course of a year through the convenience of the payroll deduction. So they get very manageable payments. It's a better option than those payday lenders or rent to owns, or worst case scenario, having to borrow against their 401k. That's the last thing they should have to do when they are faced with a financial shock. How do they absorb that financial shock? We give them a much better alternative. So think of the single mother of 6 who needs to replace a broken washing machine, or the father who needs new snow tires on his car to be able to get to work to bring home a paycheck. So it's a great addition to the benefit offerings that you might have. There's no cost to the employer, no little administration once implemented. And our partnership with Abenity makes it even easier because there's a widget on their platform that when you do add our program, you just click on the widget and it brings you right to our site. So that's the core of what we do. But also, like Missy said, our mission, it goes further beyond that. Like Abenity and all of you out there, we believe in giving back to the community. Our efforts, in addition to today's event, include a wide range of nonprofits, including Junior Achievement, Habitat for Humanity, community food banks, just to name a few. So with that, thank you again for letting us be a part of this great event and look forward to future opportunities. Missy?
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Patty. Thank you, Margo. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everybody at World Vision. Oh my gosh, they worked so hard on this. They did, especially with my last minute changes. So thank you all so much for that. We're gonna don't go anywhere. There's gonna be a small pause. We're just transitioning over to the discussion. We'd love for you to stick around. We want to answer any questions that came in or any that you may want to address live here. So just stick around to me just a moment while we transition over to that discussion portion. But really hope that you guys stick around, and thank you so much for attending if you can.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for sticking around for the discussion. I think this is going to be a really awesome chance to engage with everybody. Obviously, we have some really amazing speakers that we were very blessed to get here today. So as a reminder, you can go to that little Q&A tab off to your left-hand side of the platform, submit them. We do have a bunch of questions to go through right now as well, but you have plenty of time. I'll be sorting through them. And then just presenting them to whichever speaker you'd like me to present them to. So we're going to start here. Let's see. Okay, great. Yeah, let's start with this one to Terry. How has World Vision or Strong Women, Strong World's response to these issues changed during the pandemic? And did you have to stop any of your initiatives or adjust any of them? Like, what did you see? How did this affect your on-the-ground work?
So globally, and our work in general, not just maybe specific to these particular issues we discussed today, but depends really, I mean, quite honestly, what part of the world we're talking about. In places, Central and Latin America and parts of Africa, they were very aggressive with regards to shutting down any kind of movement or people's opportunity to go to work. So there was a lot of just real stringent practices put in place by governments. And for a period of time, it really did impact our ability to work, but more so the opportunity for those that we serve and partner with on the ground to go to work, to make a day's living, to provide for their family. So the pandemic was not as much at the time about a virus or a health issue. It was much more of a food security and a economic issue. It became the aftershocks began to show themselves quite a bit really early in other parts of the world. Some of the countries that we worked in, we were obviously viewed as essential workers, essential work being done, whether that's bringing clean water to a community or to a healthcare facility. So a lot of those projects continued on as they had prior to the pandemic, but no doubt that it did have an impact on our day-to-day work. It ended up being, quite honestly, as an organization, our largest response to any kind of global issue. Our largest with regards to our reach. We reached over 56 million people with our services around COVID. And then also from a financial perspective, the largest fundraise, if you will, or a largest amount of dollars committed to any one single issue in the 70 years of our organization's history. So
wow.
Hopefully that answers that.
Well, that was an amazing answer. Thank you, Terry. That was perfect.
I would, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to add a little bit that I think Margo could add too. And I'm Catherine Compton, and I'm Chief Development Officer of Strong Women, Strong World. And one of the things that we saw through COVID is what we're calling the pandemic shadow, and the impact, especially on women and girls. And in the sense that we saw a huge increase in domestic violence and sexual gender-based violence. And we saw that here in the United States, as well as in the countries that we're working in, especially in a very fragile context, such as Bangladesh or northern Uganda in our refugee camps. And so there was an extremely intentional effort by World Vision to making sure that we were putting all of the mechanisms in place to be able to address those sexual gender-based violence implications. And I think, Margo, you could speak a little bit to that on what we saw in Kenya, because there would be that propensity to go back to old economic practices, right? There could be.
Yeah, so just a couple things real quick. So relative to impact, all the schools and everything were shut down. And so all the rescue centers that were holding girls, people had to go back to their areas. World Vision was so good in ensuring that every single girl that was in a rescue center landed with a family. If it wasn't safe for her to go home, they landed her with a family where it was safe for that girl to be. And because World Vision embeds in the community, so their team works there, and they were considered essential, like Terry was saying, they could go and make sure and do checkups just to make sure that those girls were safe. That was kind of big thing number one. Big thing number two was World Vision then mobilized a huge effort, because girls going to school is something new. And when you shut down all the schools, you kind of can go back to, okay, go get water, go tend to this and do all this stuff. Yeah. And so World Vision, as the schools began to open up, refocused on this huge campaign to let everybody know that the schools were open again, with radio programs and all kinds of other outreach kinds of things. so that parents would start sending their girls back to school. And what we've seen is in the areas where World Vision is working, the attendance is at the same or higher than it was before the pandemic, which I think is really cool. And then the last thing I'll say is that in that first area where I visited in 2009, I forgot to share that, the FGM prevalence rate and early marriage prevalence rate was like 100% basically. And 10 years later, it's under 10%. The thing that I was worried about when COVID happened was that 10% just going to erode? Was it just going to, are people going to go back and do the old stuff? Where World Vision was working and is working, there were 0 reported cases of FGM. And so that just showed me the true sustainability of the work that World Vision does.
Wow. That's incredible. Thank you guys so much for answering that. Okay, we've got our next one queued up here, and this one's to Patricia. And it's, which of World Vision's programs is nearest to your heart and why? I think probably talking about like water, mother and child health, etc.
Oh gosh, it's really hard to pick one because they're all so important and they're all super effective. I think, there's something that World Vision does for folks who don't have the opportunities that we would have. And I met a young man there who told me that he had always wanted to be a doctor, but there is no opportunity for him to go to med school. But what he was doing was working with pregnant women and their families and making sure they all got registered at a local hospital, connecting them on their cell phones. There's a whole network that World Vision has created for pregnant women to be cared for during their pregnancy and through the birthing process and afterwards. And he was managing this whole system and checking in with women, educating them about their pregnancy and their body and their babies, and going from community to community, making sure everyone was set up. And he said to me, I feel like I am able to be a medical person in my community and I'm making a difference in my community. And we're both the biggest crybabies.
I know.
And it just brings not just, fulfillment within the community and lifts the community. It gives the individual person the opportunity to flourish and to be able to use the gifts that they have to improve the lives of their own families and the families around them in the community. That's a huge thing. It gives people such a sense of purpose and dignity. And I think it's, this was quite a few years ago that I met this young man, and you can see how it still affects me. It's the one-on-one. World Vision is affecting millions of people, but when you have the opportunity to be there, you see that it's about each individual person who has individual gifts and has something to contribute to their community, regardless of what their economic or educational background is. And that's what is such a beautiful thing about World Vision and what they do.
Wow, that is awesome. That's really beautiful. Yeah, I think that Missy and I can both just really agree with and understand how beautiful it is to connect with that individual, like through our Pen Pal program and getting to write to our sponsored kids. It's just been so amazing to get to know these children and really understand, like, okay, yeah, like what you were saying earlier, Margo, this is a human being and this could have been me. And they deserve everything in the world that anyone deserves. You know what I'm saying? We all deserve this chance. We all deserve this, opportunity for a better future. It shouldn't matter where you're born. It shouldn't matter what culture you come from, just being able to dream and believe and then actually have, the resources to get there. That's what each and every one of us deserves. And so it's really beautiful to see how I think World Vision is able to step in and give dignity to individuals. I thought that was a very good word, Patricia. Dignity is such a big deal because They deserve it. Like poverty shouldn't be a defining factor for these individuals. It shouldn't be the thing that makes them them. It should just be, yeah, you were born into it. And then thank goodness, you became a part of programs or whatever that really transformed a community. Like that's what we want.
You look at that one person, the one child affected how many other people. And that's kind of the way I've always looked at this as if we go out and we sponsor one child, is that child then encouraged and live their life in a giving way, right? And wanting to give back. Because when you're given help, you just naturally want to help others, right? Like I see other people going through what I went through. I want to help them because I was here too. And man, wow, when you really think about that and how many people our World Vision touches every day, a new heart every day. And then that person goes and affects countless other people. It's a world change. It's impossible to imagine, right. But just imagine how you walk, like how that boy walked away and how many people look at him and go, I want to be like him. Right. I want to do that too.
And that desire to feel like your life has meaning in the world is not just an American thing. We look at other cultures and they seem so different. Everybody wants to feel like there's a reason for them being here in the world and that they are contributing something positive to the world. And I've seen that with World Vision, and it's just a beautiful thing.
That is really beautiful. And before I go to the next question, I just want to say to all the people on here who are, Abenity clients or anything, like you are making a difference just by existing, just by being our client. Like, even if today you did absolutely nothing else, say you just close this meeting and you're like, well, that was emotional, and then you go about your business, you're doing something, you're a part of something that matters because World Vision, they know their stuff. Like they have strategies in place. They're making a difference every single day. And by you being our client, we're able to give in to that. Children are positively affected. Women and girls are positively affected. And this isn't just like, a cutesy thing on the internet. No, it's real. Like these are real lives being affected. So we're very, very grateful for all of you. And I hope that you feel encouraged and understand that
I want to jump in one small thing with that, Bevan, too, is, I have a lot of people who say, well, you guys, are you a big team or things like that? You don't have to be a big team. Okay. Just so you guys know that out there, you could be just one person who decides I'm going to sponsor a child today, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. Whatever it is that assists, it all adds up. It's all like if everybody lined up in Nashville and had one tiny pebble and put that pebble down, eventually it's a mountain. Right? It's the same exact thing. And I'm going to tell you, I tell my teammates I love them. We do get emotional over these things. And we do, especially when Bevan puts out these kids and the situations that they're in and how they're changing. And then we get to see kids like Rocky there. Like when I first started, Rocky was really young. And Rocky's older now, and she's just beautiful. And she's growing into this amazing adult who's going to make changes all over the place. You guys, by being our clients, we're able to do that because without you, we can't. And I encourage everyone, even if whatever it is, lean into this, right? Like lean into this. Let your teams lean into this. I promise you will have a community of giving people that will bleed to their family members, to their kids. I have 6 kids. It bleeds to my kids,
That took me by surprise.
Oh my goodness. Oh my Lord. Okay.
I just really want to encourage everybody out there. It really does. It creates this community within each other. And, when we have bad days and we're like, oh my gosh, I missed the number this month or whatever. It's like, but still you did this, right. But still we did this. And that is, it's a gift you will give every employee. I promise you.
Oh yeah, absolutely agreed. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. There are so many questions. I'm going to try to zoom through some here. Okay. So yeah, this is kind of to Terry and Margo. Not sure exactly who would be best suited to answer this. So sorry about that. But How long does it take for these changes to become permanent from what you've seen, especially moving away from FGM and child marriage? Is it one generation, longer than that, shorter than that? Is it never the full community? Yeah, I think that's the heart of the message there.
I can talk about what I've seen, and then Terry, maybe, anything you want to add. So I first went to Kenya in 2009, and the prevalence rate for all this stuff was essentially 100%. By 2019, so just in 10 years, that prevalence rate had dropped from basically 100% to under 10%. So quite literally in less than a generation, you could do this. And it's because the communities, parents and human beings are the same everywhere. If everybody wants what's best for their kids, and they also want what's best for themselves too, right? And so when people see that there is actually a tangible, better way, they'll be like, why are we doing this other way? So like, for example, Lillian, as she was, I showed her her picture and all that, what her life story looked like. When she was in college, she had actually learned some vocational training as well through this process. And so she actually was cutting hair on the side. And in that way, she was actually building up money. And she was actually sending it back to her mom, because her mom, her dad had long gone since. And she was already raising their living standard. And her mom just kind of couldn't believe that here was a girl that had run away from all of this, but yet she had been reconciled, and now she was giving back to her family. And so people start going, wait, there's something different here. And then because World Vision works with the adults, these are people oftentimes that have never completed school. Right? They were cut and married by the time that they were, 12, 13 years old. The boys were taken out of school so they could go, shepherd. All they learned was what they had learned from their ancestors on how to, grow this and, feed their cows and the stuff that I talked about. So when World Vision comes in and says, here's a better way to take what you have and multiply, now their lives are being enriched. And then World Vision takes it one step further, and I think this is why what they do works so well, is they've got a program called the Empowered Worldview. So a person will have a worldview oftentimes when they're in poverty, that they can't change their circumstances. The gods are against me, the weather is bad, who is going to help me? Yeah. So if you can empower their worldview, and do it in the context, 85% of the world's population believes in a God, whatever it is. So if you can do it in this context of that says, God has given you gifts and talents. You are beloved of God. Imagine being an adult and for the first time hearing that and hearing those things, and then discovering yourself that, yes, I actually do. Someone called it out. Thank God. It starts to begin to change hearts and minds. And then World Vision brings if you want to go far, go together, brings the communities together. And then they start solving these problems and taking ownership. That's why, like in this example, a cultural norm that has been in place for hundreds of years is being blown out in less than a generation. That's what I have witnessed firsthand in my, giving to World Vision since 2009.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's pretty amazing. Less than 10 years. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, but it's true. And it's just like, and you can feel it. That's the cool thing. I mean, I've been back to Kenya 15 times. And I've been in all these different community meetings, and I've been all over the place in this one area, eating goat and all this stuff. And got sick a couple of times too as well. But it doesn't matter. You can actually feel the emotion when you go into these communities, and how proud. You talk about dignity, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
They feel real dignity that they have taken ownership, and that they really are taking up what they're learning, and then they can hardly wait to show you what they've done. Oh. And so that's why these cultural norms can change. Yeah. When you begin to deal with, heart and mind and this whole concept of empowering.
And I bet those communities then probably spread that. I'm sure other communities look in and go, oh my gosh, look what they're doing. How are they prospering so well? Right. And then that.
No, that's exactly right. Actually, Missy, it was really, really funny because we were in this one area, World Vision was trying to figure out where are we going to work next. And so we, every time I go there, it's kind of fun because they always take me to these places that nobody goes because they know I can take it. And, and so, we're sitting in this community and World Vision isn't working there yet. And there's, I don't know, probably 300 people at this meeting. And they're pleading with World Vision to come in for that very reason, because those guys over there that were about 10, 15 miles from where this one community was, they wanted what they had, and they would do anything to get it. And I was sitting there and I saw a couple people in the community and they were wearing these World Vision shirts. And I was like, how did we get those shirts? and I found out later that they had actually participated in some of the events in that other community. So this word of mouth and this kind of ripple effect that happens is really pretty remarkable.
That's incredible.
I had never considered that, but that's truly amazing. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. To be respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to try to wrap this up with a question. I want to assure everyone who's submitted a question, we're actually going to send answers to your questions after this. We're going to save the questions. We're going to have an expert or someone from our panel answer the question and then get back to you. So do not fret if we don't get to your question right now. We will get to it. However, we had a couple that were kind of similar, and I think this should go to Terry. Really just kind of the point of these two questions is, what can any of us do right now, today, other than donating money? I know there were a bunch of QR codes, and I think I think a couple of these questions are what are the first, second, third steps to get started? Sure. What do we do next? So Sure.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question. And I will reference back to the QR codes as well, but as an individual, and if we're not talking financial engagement at this point, really advocacy is a huge component of the work that we do within World Vision. We have a large presence in Washington. We do a lot of advocating on behalf of the world's poor with our senators and congressmen. You can get involved locally with your local representatives as well to talk about these types of issues, to make sure that they're top of mind issues. That, as an example, that the budget for foreign development is not cut, right? Let's make sure that things like foreign development, USAID, those organizations, those programs are continually being funded at the levels that they need to be. So you can do a lot as an individual from an advocacy standpoint. That's probably where I would want to direct someone outside traditional sponsorship or gifting, if you will. So
that's awesome. I think you guys make that pretty easy, don't you? I think I've used it a few times on a few issues where you just click it. It kind of finds your representative for you, kind of gets it all lined up. So you literally just have to put your verbiage in there and hit send. It is that easy to help. Yeah. Really, guys. It is. If you can't get out there, you can't donate. That's okay. There's ways to make differences, and that World Vision makes it so simplistic for you guys. So you don't have to research it or anything.
Yeah. And then Terry, if anyone is interested in getting involved at the corporate level or individual and just wants more questions, is there a good email address or something like that where we can have them contact some folks?
Sure, and I'll ask Catherine's input on this as well.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple of ways. We obviously have a corporate engagement team that would work with an organization, with leadership within an organization, or if you're a company owner and you want to take the path that Abenity's chosen, we have folks within World Vision to help you do that. Obviously, you can contact me directly as well. And do we have, I think we have a slide. And Catherine, help me out here. Strong Women, Strong World at worldvision.org.
.org, correct.
Yeah.
We have an email.
Strong Women, Strong World at worldvision.org is a great place to start with any questions, whether that's as an individual and or as a company.
Perfect. Okay, I think that is good. And we're right here at the end of our discussion time. So I'm going to hand it off to Missy to just close us out. But of course, thank you to everyone. And thank you to all of our participants who have hung around. I can see you hanging out. I can't see your faces. Don't freak out. But, I can see that you're there. And I really, really appreciate your participation. Super appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, just really thanks to everybody who's came on today. Man, it is just, it's beautiful to hear about the changes that have been made across the world, but there's so much more to do, right? So I don't know if you feel like me, but every time we have one of these meetings, I'm like, come on, let's jump a plane, let's go. Like all of us, let's just get on a plane and go fix some stuff, but I hope that you're left with some sort of feeling or belonging, and thank you to our clients so much. Again, without you, there is no ability, right, for us to do the things that we've done. And we're just so thankful for you all. We're so thankful that this is part of your heart too, and that you spent the time with us today, right? Especially during a work week. That's hard to do. Really appreciate that. To those folks I'm going to speak to you that had told me, I want to see a recording. Don't make sure to get me a recording. Thank you for watching the recording if that's the way you're viewing it later on. And again, if Bevan and I are available. Our founders are always welcome to talk, especially to business owners if you want to know how to kind of get started, making it a corporate initiative if you wanted to do that. Our one founder, Brian Rowland, has done quite a few different articles as well as some podcasts and things that kind of talk to our team, how, we're a fully remote team. We're all over the country, right? But how do you keep people like that together? How do you keep it feeling like a work community? He can talk to you about how we go about doing those things, the communication channels and things of that nature. But thank you all again so much. This has been a wonderful event, and I really hope that we get to do this again.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone. Bye for now.